And then we have one of our own, which my church in Nimumu kakra kyerɛ na ɛnneɛma bi so a wɔatia yɛn na so na wabɔ n'ani so akyerɛ yɛn without taking much time, no, Officer Kevin Wachidankwa, welcome and feel at home. I see that you felt at home already, just if you want to stand there, just feel at home.
Good afternoon. I have to keep looking at my watch because sometimes I say good morning and it's not morning. I say good afternoon, it's not afternoon. But good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And hi, Grace. First off, I want to apologize. Sorry for being late. This was supposed to start at 2 o'clock. And on my way here in Cambridge, there was a call for service that I just happened to be around for. So I'm sure you all know doing your whether it's your Christian duties or your parenting duties, things come in the way, and unfortunately you have to stop what you're doing. So, and there's a saying that we have, God laughs at our plans, whether you're a police officer or you're a true Christian, right? So you make plans and things don't turn out as they are. So my apologies and thank you for staying around. I hope that this presentation, let's say, will expand our minds, open our minds to the things that we already know, things that we may not know, and things that we might see in the media or, what we see on the news or TV shows or read in books. So I had a presentation started or set up. I'll leave it to you guys. I don't know how much time Pastor is allowing me. I know it was supposed to go till 3:30, so I don't know how much time you guys want. So I'll ask you guys, I have a presentation. It was maybe about 20 slides or so. There was some videos or whatnot. So if you want, I can go through some of it. I can go through all of it. Or if you guys want, I can just do a little bit of it and then we'll open the floor for questions because I'm sure everybody has questions they've always wanted to ask an officer. For example, have you used your gun? Or have you turned on your lights and sirens and all these things. So just by show of hands, does anybody want to see the slide or? Okay, it looks like the majority rules. So we'll go through it quickly. This is being recorded, so I'm not the only one that will that will be embarrassed if something happens. So yeah, we'll go through the slide really quickly. First off, this will be mostly in English, but just to show that I haven't forgotten where I've come from. So first off, everybody who I've grown up with, I started in the, for those who don't know me, my name is Kevin Wachidankwa. I've been a police officer for almost a year and a half now. So I started in a church when I was 9. We moved from Montreal to Toronto. That's my mother over there, if you just want to wave. And then my older sister, who is somewhere here, she's coming. So that led me to my next point. I used to play the piano for the church. I played for the church choir. I played for the youth and all that stuff. So my piano days are still, they've gone downhill. I still play at home. When I find time. I have 2 little children at home. So, sometimes they prevent me from being able to play. But I have 2 kids at home. I'm married. I live in the London area, and I police in the London area. But anyway, going back to me, just a quick introduction. I played piano here for the church since I was 9. Went to university, and then ended up moving to London, where I did several jobs within the Ministry of Ontario. So I worked with youth in group homes. I've also worked with youth in custody, so youth that have been arrested and they're going through the court process. Then I went to the courthouse, where I was working as a clerk and reporter, so the person who types, whether it's the papers that the judge signs or typing the proceedings. And then after that, I went to OPP dispatch and then here I am now. So it's been an extensive, long journey. I'd like to say all of it was planned, but obviously by the grace of God, he led me in the ways that he wanted me to be, and thankfully, with his guidance, and as I was saying, with the guidance of everybody here, whether I know you or not, at the end of the day, you've all been an influence to me. So I wanted to thank you guys very much for all that you've done for me. If I were to name names, it'd take quite a while, and I don't want to forget anybody, so we'll just leave it at thanking everybody and the church as well. Thank you, Pastor Jima, for allowing me to be here, and also Pastor Kenneth. I'm not sure if he's here, but I was in contact with him. And Michael Pia, where are you? Translation? Okay. Michael, thank you for availing my services. I'm sure somewhere down the line you'll be owing me a favor soon. So I can see his bright smile there. So, okay, so just general housekeeping. I know we talked about this, Pastor Jima talked about this, but we have the right to open and respectful dialogue, the right to agree and disagree, and right to ask questions. Obviously, what I know and what I've experienced is different from what everybody here has experienced, and which is different from what whoever's neighbor has experienced. So we'll do our best to respect every opinion that comes around. I want this to be an open forum, so whether they agree or disagree, this is a safe place. So as long as it's respectful, for example, police officers are insert insult, obviously we don't want that. I'll do my best to not blame the public for certain things, but if I do speak about interactions with the public, I won't be mentioning names, I won't be mentioning specific places. I'll explain the details as confidentially as possible. That way everyone stays out of trouble. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is just a warning. If you want to hit the couple buttons there. So it's going to say not whenever they press it. I'm not the authority for all police agencies. Okay, so I'm a police officer with the Ontario Provincial Police. Ontario Provincial Police patrols all of Ontario. So most people say yes, the highways, you see them there. Other times they'll patrol smaller cities or smaller towns. I think there's about almost 10,000 police officers in Canada. My numbers may be off a bit, but I am only one of 10,000, let's say, right? So if I say something, that doesn't mean that the next officer will tell you the exact same thing, okay? And then also, I'm not a substitute for legal advice. Those of you who said, don't call me, because someone's gonna say, I don't care who he is, here's your ticket, have fun, right? So just keep that in mind. Whenever we get to the question period, we'll have the opportunity to ask, and I'll answer some questions as best as I can. I don't know all the answers, and any police officer who says they know all the answers is not a real police officer. This job allows you to learn every day. Yesterday, I was dealing with an incident that I may have made some mistakes, but it's all a learning process, right? At the end of the day, if I can explain why I made the mistake and I made it in good faith, then everything should be fine. Whether I lose the case or not, to me personally, it doesn't matter. All I want to make sure is that everybody is safe, that I've done my job as best as I can, and at the end, if I have to explain it, then obviously I put my trust in my experience, my skills, and of course God. So me in my heart, I know I'm not here to just give everybody a speeding ticket, right? At the end of the day, it's everything is done with the human factor in mind. Right? I have feelings too. I know you guys have feelings too. And I want to get anybody in trouble. So next slide, please. So this is here just because in terms of in my intro to policing, when I was 9 years old, we took a school trip to the Toronto Police Service headquarters. We all got certificates. My name was spelled wrong, of course. A name like Kevin Boachadankwa isn't a common one with, Canadians. So I just happened to tell the person who gave me the certificate that my name was spelled wrong, and he felt so bad. So he said, okay, give me some time. And then by the end of the day, I was taking a picture with a police officer, which ended up on a newspaper in 1996 in the Toronto Star. So I'm not sure how many people remember that. I still have that photo, and that didn't think it would play that big of an impact in my life, but it did. So every time I get a chance, when I see children, and especially because it's Youth Day, I don't see a lot of youth, but because it's Youth Day, it's something that I really was excited to do. And this picture here just shows that police officers can have fun too. I mean, have you ever seen a police officer lay on the ground with kids all over and do all that, right? So at the end of the day, it's also to show these kids that we're approachable. Debia say, oh, there's a police officer or Baba Chime, and I say he's gonna put me under arrest. And I said, parents, Omuka say, oh, so when Tia, I'm for police. That's not what we're there for, right? Don't use us to scare your kids. So with everything that we go through, everything that we see in our job, for me, anytime I see kids, it brings a smile to my face, and it makes me, it gives me a little bit of hope that the human race still has a chance. Unfortunately, with our job, we deal with people at their worst, right? They don't call the police just to say hi. They don't call the police to, just talk. They're going through some difficult times, which is why we're there. So that's the reason why, again, I put this in the slide here. And this is something that I'll always continue to do. I did bring some goodies for some of the kids, not candy, but hats and bags and things like that. So stay tuned for how you can get one of those. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is Elgin County. Okay, Elgin County spans from over here, which is West Elgin, all the way up to Bayham Municipality. If you can see, the City of London is north, and then that yellow line just beside the City of London is the 401. Okay, so we don't just patrol the 401. There's a section here that my, area patrols. So we patrol all of the 401 all the way up until, let's say, where the City of London is there. London Police has its own service, so they police within the city. So if it's in the City of London, they'll police there. And then if you look over here, it says County of Middlesex. That's the Middlesex OPP. So that's another branch of the OPP. So each area is divided. I say you have all the 7 regions, right? Some of those regions may have, this is just an example. Some of those, 16, sorry. Thank you. If you have all those regions will have potential, well, in this situation, in my example, the regions may have different police agencies. And I said, in this example, if I were to use the OPP would police each of those regions, and then they would have East Region OPP, West Region OPP, and then all the other regions and so on. Okay, so from this area, West Elgin, all the way out to Bayham, the area is 1,878 kilometers squared with a population of 94,000 people. And then that was as of 2021. So the population is still growing, and then there's also more land that is being used and bought by what we call the county. So the County of Elgin to develop more houses and other businesses. Okay, so what does that mean to you guys? 1,878 square kilometers. So ultra block, 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer, that's a square kilometer. So if you take 1,000 of those blocks, that's a square kilometer. Okay, let's go to the next slide, please. Oh, and just before, oh, that's okay. Nope, it's okay, thank you. So let's compare this to land size. So you look at Toronto, again, 1 by 1 square kilometer, or 1 by 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer is a square kilometer. So Toronto has 630 kilometers, and again, that's policed by Toronto Police. Mississauga has 288, Vaughan 273, Brampton 266, and Markham 210. So Toronto, Mississauga, Vaughan, and Vaughan, Brampton, and Markham. Elgin County is still bigger than all of those combined. Okay, so think of that. That's all the area that my county has to police. Now, you would think, oh, that means there must be a lot of police officers, right? That's not the case. If you look at Halton, Halton is one of the biggest regions. They have 967 kilometers squared. If you look at the GTA population, which is all of these combined, 6.2 million people as of 2021. Okay, and again, with Elgin County, only 94,000. So the challenge that we have is the space, whereas the challenge that the municipal agencies have are, the people. So you have some obviously there's going to be so many problems, right? So policing is not all the same everywhere. There are some different challenges that we have. So say you go back to the mappa. Can you go back 1 slide, please? And then just hit back 1 more time, please. Nope, back, and then 1 more back. Thank you. So for me, I've had to respond from a call and, had to respond from here, West Elgin, to get all the way to the other side. Lights and sirens, it's taken me about 45 minutes. This is BBC. I have to get there. Sometimes, on a bad day, I'd have to drive from one end to the other, right? So if something happens, help, I need 911, me here police. Okay, we'll be there in 45 minutes, right? At the end of the day, no. Those are the challenges that they have. But at the same time, no. You know, say, all these places, I say, Ekrase, right? They have electricity and all those things, right? But you know, say, you have people with farms and all these houses. Those people have guns. So if you are going to say that, oh, there's no police here, that's a that's somebody, that's not the person who broke into, or that's not the person who shot the person's fault, let's say. Obviously, we'd have to do an investigation and go from there and then make sure that no criminal act happened. But it's just, again, to put in perspective, a mutring, right? And he said, Toda, so who said police, and I said OPP, almost speedy, the dice aren't on that. It's not because they're speeding, it's because they have to get somewhere. And then it's also not every call that the police are going to turn on the lights and sirens. Toda, yeah, I don't need my lights and sirens, but I have to get there quickly, right? And what we get sometimes, we can go on to the next slide, next 3 slides, right? What we get is, oh, hi, 911, the police is speeding. Okay, so what did the police do? Do you know why he's speeding? Do you know why he's getting there? And so, uko the person that you're going to help, why didn't you get here faster? Wow. So it makes the job very difficult, and I said, you don't want to get yourself in trouble, but at the same time, as long as you can articulate and also you can explain why you did that, there shouldn't be an issue, right? Obviously, you have to remain safe. So these next few slides are just examples of what we patrol. Everybody knows what this is. This is the highway, right? This is the 401 just in London. Next slide. And then these are some of the smaller towns that we would police. This is kind of what it looks like, right? It's not very big. It's not like Toronto, right? Wherever you live now. There's a lot more people and a lot more cars than just these, and these are downtown, by the way, right? This is the downtown of a small town where the population is maybe 2,000, and I said 500, right? Next slide. Okay, and then these are what the county roads look like. So we're traffic stop. There's no sidewalk. It might not be safe, right? But I have to pick the best spot to do my traffic stop. And for those of you who might hear or who might say, I did not continue with Dimechisa, well, the reason is because he has to be safe. He has to make sure that they have to make sure they're going to be safe. They have to make sure that you're going to be safe, right? And when I have all day, I can follow you all the way until I think, okay, this is a safe spot for me, because safety is the #1 thing that we all have to look out for. Next slide, please. Okay, and then over here, this is actually in my county. This is a beach called Port Stanley. Beautiful place, very nice. A lot of people come here, especially in the summertime, right? This is the downtown area of Port Stanley. It's a nice little small beach community, and then this is the beach. How many of you know how to swim? Okay, right? So sometimes you go to the beach, you're not being safe, and then they can call us. I'm not going in there, right? And I'm not going to put myself in danger. And some people actually expect police officers to be able to do that, right? With the gear that I have on, even if I knew, where am I going to put all of this, right? Am I going to swim with it? No, because I'll go all the way to the bottom, right? So at the end of the day, no, yes, I wouldn't do it, and yes, another police officer wouldn't do it. We're all comfortable in our abilities. And you have to make sure that, especially when you're a police officer, you have to make sure that you know what your abilities are. Where it's akulabi, God forbid, akulabi kotonzuma, and then he can't swim. What am I really going to do? Am I going to now be a burden for the other person who's coming to save the child and me? It doesn't make sense, right? And again, that's just a little thing here where, again, people sometimes think police officers should be able to do everything. That's not how it works, right? Next slide, please. And then, I don't know if you can see, but this is what a traffic stop can look like at night. Yes, we do traffic stops at night too. Say police for they all go home and they sleep. Well, who's watching the place, right? So at night, we have to do traffic stops too. And again, those ones are the more scariest. Those are the kind of I don't want to say scary, but more concerning ones, and you open your eyes and you're very vigilant at night. I want you guys to remember this because I'm sure there's going to be questions about traffic stops down the line somewhere. I'm sure somebody here will ask. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's talk about calls for service. Calls for service, no. Police will go to many calls for service. Not all of them are police related, right? Typically, we'll go to traffic complaints. You see the 401 there. Any sort of disputes, whether it's a neighbor dispute, you know, my neighbor will, I saw a kanya, he won't turn it off. Now I fear police. And I said, my neighbor, he drove close to me, so I want police to go speak to them. Wait, what do you want me to do, right? Kind of thing. And yes, we don't want to help, but wait, me by, well, I didn't see it. So we'll video. Okay, let's watch the video. Now you're say criminal act, if a criminal act happened. But so we'll fresh say my neighbor drove here. You know, my neighbor drove on my lawn. My neighbor did. If you don't have proof, no, I can't really go and do anything. And this isn't like TV where, you know, okay, let me get my case and then, you know, I'll dust off everything and take fingerprints and all that. That's not how it works, right? But unfortunately, again, with what we see on TV, I expect to say police best solve all problems, regardless of whether it's a police matter or not. Okay, and then the one with the male, female, and then I don't know if you can see, but there's a little child on the side there. Those are domestic disputes. Those are one of the most common calls that we get. My first call on the road, it was a domestic dispute. I'm still dealing with it now, and I have to go to trial in September. And this happened in February of 2023, right? So we deal with a lot of those. Sometimes we have car accidents, or even sometimes, you know, obi aja car no wa na wakono mensa wa bro and wa crash a car no nti almost wa crash a car no wo kufie, right? That way we won't be able to find them. Obviously, when there's a car, the car has a license plate, the car has a VIN number, right? We can find out who the car belongs to. Nti sa nyoma at the end of the day no ebi wo ha, sometimes they might get away. Other times we find them and then we charge them appropriately, right? You can't really see it here, but deer, I don't know how to say it. Deer, send kind of treatment. Or train. Okay, right? Obi the car go train, right? And then sometimes I have to go and then I have to, if it's still alive and it's still on the road, I have to do what I have to do. I'm sure you can think about what that is, right? So we have that. Sometimes scams. This is one of the most important ones. To say, you know, they're always calling. People are calling. Oh, I met somebody online. And they said that they could give me this if I just send this. You know, they said I won $2 million, but I have to pay $5,000 first, and then I get my money, right? Wait, did you enter any contest? And I said no. I said, then how did you win $2 million? Well, but unfortunately, Nipa no, they send the money, and then what is gonna call? Oh. You have to send another 10,000. Oh, you have to send 50,000 because there's an issue. Now, what did you say? And then eventually, who said, oh, it's not real. Now we're afraid police. A lot of the time, we can't get the money back, right? Because we don't know where it is. If they use Bitcoin and I say, you know, all these new technologies, we don't know who they are, right? We don't know where they're using it from. We don't even know if they're in this country. Because let's say, no, men can't say Crawfordine because men say obi you say Australia. Now, what's it? Okay, obi to Ghana. Now, right? What email you obi and I say when WhatsApp number now what text this not nipa kron this kana akomano, right? At the end of the day, no, you have to be very careful. And the suggestion that I have is if you face something like that, ask two people. If one person says it's wrong, okay. If another person says, no, something is wrong, then you know that there's an issue, right? If it's too good to be true, then it's most likely not true, okay? And then we have, if you see, I guess, the bones, we deal with deaths as well. So I've gone to a few that haven't been very pleasant. Some have been suicides, others have been natural deaths. So people are also dealing with things like mental health illness, which lead to that, or drugs, which lead to mental health illness, which leads to death, or vice versa. So those are some of the more prevalent calls that we get. And then sometimes people will just call and say, oh, I just want to know something, or I just want to know this information, right? Can I drive a motorcycle on this road at this time, right? Little examples like that. If we answer their calls and then we speak to them. Yes, I call Mufi and then we go talk with them. We just call them on the phone. So some calls we can deal with on the phone, others we can't. And I have this raccoon here. If you see a raccoon on the road, what are you going to do? Who can answer? Anybody. If you put your hand up and you answer, that's fine. Don't be shy, please. You'll stop? Okay, and then what would you do? You'll hit him. Very good. Well, don't call the police for a raccoon, right? Sometimes we have people who will call the police and say, oh, there's a raccoon on the road and he looks sick and we want, no problem, you're welcome, right? And he looks sick and we don't know what to do. We don't want to leave it here. We're not going to those calls. Why is this a police matter, right? Obi frere was a raccoon be team rim. I say woyare until member frere until member ye bibi. And I say, well, what do you want me to do? I'm not a veterinarian, right? At the end of the day, no. When you call the police, it's not to discourage people from calling the police, but make sure say it's something that's criminal or somebody's in danger or anything like that. Now, if that raccoon was was chasing people and biting people, okay, that's different. But way is tinibebi. Why do you need to call me, right? At the end of the day, no. Just make sure say ufra. It's a legitimate reason. Again, if you don't feel it's a legitimate, you're not sure, call a friend, right? Call a friend, then call another friend, and then by then you should have your answer. Okay. Next slide, please. Nope. Back. Yeah. Next slide. I won't spend too much time on this. This slide was going to show kind of the laws that are in Canada, the laws that the police have to follow in order to do their job. So some of those laws include being able to use force, right? That's one of the biggest issues that I'm sure everybody has heard of, especially with George Floyd and all these other people, that I won't be talking about George Floyd today, by the way. We'll save that for another day if there is one. But all these videos that we might see on TV or the news articles that we see, well, the police used too much force and the police did this and the police did that. I'm not saying that all police officers are doing the job correctly. In every profession, there's always somebody who is not doing the job right? And I can say for a fact that if there's anything police officers hate, it's bad police officers and bad policing, because it makes everybody look bad, right? So the laws state that force can be used as long as it's reasonable, it's necessary, and it's proportionate. For example, who wants to come up on the stage here? Mister, can I use you? Yes. Thank you. What's your name? Pastor Redu. Okay, very nice to meet you. If you can stand here, please. I'm sorry? And then can I have orange dress? Nope, the one who just turned her head and looked. Yep, you. Yeah, nope. Right there. Yes. If you can come up, please. Okay. Pastor, that's it. Okay? Now, so what's your pastor? Now, so what's your mea? Other than the kit that I have, the use of force I have, what's to stop him from being able, or who am I to be able to stop him, right? Can I grab your hand? Okay. Sem, if I grab your hand and you resist, who is bigger, him or me? Okay. Now, add the use of force. Who is bigger, him or me? No, I mean, sorry. When we say bigger, I mean, I don't want to say Ahwandane because maybe I might be stronger than Pastor, but we'll let God decide. But because of height and not weight, who is, okay, right? Pacho, what's your name? Tiana, you're Samuel's daughter. Very good, nice to meet you. Samuel and Michael, they came to my 5th birthday party and I have a video of it. Tiana, can you come and stand here? Thank you, right? And he said, Pastor, name Kwan, right? The force that I have to use to apprehend him, is it going to be the same force that I have to use to apprehend Tiana? No, right? But let's say I apprehend Pastor. Now, is that excessive? Yes, it's excessive. It's excessive. He's on the ground. I've handcuffed him. Why am I still kicking him? Wow. Now, Tiana, if I apprehend her and I say, oh, Kopra, am I at fault? No, it depends. It depends. Now, just because Sewo Sano, that doesn't mean that she can't cause harm, right? The one thing we have to remember is in an interaction with police, how many guns are involved? Nope. How many guns are involved? You don't know. We know how many for sure. Somebody said it over here. One. There's always one gun involved. The one right here. Say, Pastor, and that's Tiana, so boom, and that's more unconscious, and that's what you see me to. Who is stopping either one of them? Right? So police, we have the right to be able to use that force as long as it's necessary, it's acceptable, and it's proportionate. Right? At the end of the day, I don't have to wait for someone to, punch me and kick me and then now finally decide to use force. So that's the one thing that the public and, in the media, they don't really explain very well. And the laws, unfortunately, like I said, I don't want to go through it. It's really boring. But the laws dictate that I'm allowed to do that. Thank you very much, if you just want to wait there. You want a hat? You want a bag? You want a T-shirt? Bag? Okay. Here we go. Thank you. Oh, you got it? Thank you. Pastor, upe T-shirt na. Okay, very good. And I'll pay check. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Right? And then over here, if we were to click the handcuffs, don't click it though. That explains the rights that you have. So there are many, many rights where all Canadians are protected by the Charter of Rights. Everybody knows their main right? The right to remain, or the right to free speech and all this and and all these things. Everybody knows that. The problem is nobody else reads the rest of it, right? You have the right to liberty, right? Freedom to move around, freedom to leave a country and come back. You have the right to religion. You have the right to, I'm just trying to remember all of them off the top of my head. I only remember about 4 of them because those are the most important ones for me. But at the end of the day, you have the right to, you have all these rights that are listed. Some of the rights that people don't know are the right to, let's say, liberty, right? The right to unreasonable search and seizure. Sorry, what's your name? Mark? Okay, so me call Mark, not say, me say, Mark, stand up. To bottom. What? Thank you. Right? What did Mark do? Mark didn't do anything. I can't just go to him and then say, okay, I want to search you. He has to have done something. And even if he's done something, a lot of times, I still might not, depending on what the situation is, I still might not be able to search him until, I can come to a reasonable grounds that he did something. Right? So we have reasonable grounds, reasonable suspicion. If I suspect that Mark left that bottle there and then he walks out, if somebody says, oh yeah, it was Mark that was sitting there, that doesn't mean that I can start searching him and all that stuff. I have to talk with him. I have to make sure that I have the right thing. Now, given what we talked about with necessary, proportionate and, force, so Mark say, no, I'm not talking to you. Not say, well, I can stop him. Right? Obia pointing out, say, I can stop him. Now, say Mark said, hey, now it's game. It's game time. Not that I like to fight, I don't like fighting, right? But now it's game time, right? I mean, I can't let him leave, right? So those are some of the rights. The other right that you have is the right to rights to counsel. If I arrest you, I have to let you know the reason I've arrested you, and then I have to give you your rights to counsel, right? So you have the right to contact, and all of it is written on this card here, which I won't read it because it's really long. But you have I explained the reason you've been arrested. I explained to you that you have the right to contact a lawyer. I have to ask you, do you understand? And you say yes, great. Do you want to contact a lawyer? Either yes or no. I have to listen to what you want. Okay? The other right that we have is also the right to be able to see a judge or a justice of the peace if you've been arrested. I can't hold you in detention forever, right? There's a 24-hour time limit from the time that you've been arrested to the time that you see a justice of the peace if we're holding you. A lot of the times we'll just arrest you, we'll give you conditions, and then we'll release you, right? Other times we'll have to stay, and then you'll have to see a justice of the peace. But a lot of it depends on the crime that was committed. I'm trying to see what else. So unreasonable, I think it's unreasonable detention, right? You can't just be detained for no reason. There has to be a reason why. I can't just arrest you. Just going back to the rights to know why you're arrested. Just because I arrested you, it doesn't mean that I have to tell you right away, okay, you have the right to retain counsel, you have the right, no. I can take my time, right? The last thing I want to do is make a mistake and then break your rights or go against your rights. So sometimes what we find is people get arrested, and then maybe they'll sit in the car for 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and they'll say, you breached my rights. You didn't tell me what I was arrested for. No, I didn't breach your rights. You did something. I need to talk to my partners. I need to make sure that we all have it right, because the last thing we want to do is, okay, sir, you've been arrested for blah, 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 blah. You have the right to, and then you read that whole thing again, and then you find out later, oh yeah, and he also did this. And then you have to go back and say, okay, you've been right. It's just too tedious. So sometimes people will say that you didn't read me my rights right away. So that means you broke my rights. That's not how it works. Okay? Next slide, please. This is just an example of all the different acts that are in Ontario, as well as the criminal code in Canada. Okay? All of these are Bible chapters, or not Bible books, different books in the Bible, right? Criminal Code, Mental Health Act, Highway Traffic Act, Youth Criminal Justice, Provincial Offense, Liquor and License, and so on and so on. How many of you know every single chapter and every single verse in the Bible? And if you do, I'll quit my job. Good. So we're honest, which is good. I like where it's going, right? Police officers, like I said in the beginning, we don't know everything, right? Sometimes, if I stop somebody for a Highway Traffic Act, which is driving offenses, the investigation can lead into, oh, well, he has liquor, an open container in his vehicle, and he's drinking beer or alcohol, right? And it can also lead into mental health. The person is having a mental health crisis. And, oh, he's got cigarettes that are unlicensed. So in Ontario, you have to buy licensed cigarettes. Not that anybody here knows that. That was a joke. But, right, at the end of the day, there are so many things that we have to know, right? So that also leads into, or I guess goes back to what I was saying, that when I arrest you, let's say that all 4 of those acts were included in the arrest. I have to make sure that I have the proper arrest, right? I'm not going to rush it just so that I can convenience you to, so that you can be on your way and all these things. I want to make sure I'm doing the job properly, because the last thing I want to do is release you and then come and find you and say, oh, and by the way, you did this too, right? That creates too much confusion and creates a lot of issues down the line. Next slide, please. How many people have seen Baby Police? Okay, so youth and the law. So I know today's Youth Day, so we won't spend too much time, again, explaining the law just around youth, but pretty much with youth. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. Right, youth and the law. The law really looks at youth in a way that, they know that the youth aren't overly mature. And as we go on in ages, I'm sure that everybody who was a child when I was a child knows that the youth today have it pretty easy, right? Right? But at the end of the day, too, we have to remember, and parents, and before I say this, I don't want to criticize anybody's parenting here. I don't know what goes on in your home. I don't know what issues you have. So please, what I'm about to say is not a criticism of anybody. But parents should also remember that youth also have problems too. Yes, adults have problems. How are we going to eat? How are we going to pay bills? How are we going to Ghana? Who's taking care of the house in Ghana? Who's doing, and so on, right? Youth have problems too. So, and if I'm wrong, any youth in here, please correct me. But friends are a problem, right? Right? Either I have too many friends, I don't have enough friends, nobody likes me. Homework is a problem, right? Sitting there doing your math homework, it's stressful, right? Stress is a problem. Just overall stress. You're growing older. Sometimes you're in pain because you're growing too fast. Obviously, I didn't have that problem, but right? Fear of the unknown. I don't know what's happening. I got suspended from school. I don't know what's going to happen, right? Or life in general is a problem, right? And family. Of course, I'm sure all the youth have thought this before. Oh, man, I wish I was in a different family, or I wish I had what this person had, and all these things, right? So parents, please remember that your children will have problems, or do have problems that are serious for them. At the end of the day, it's our job, and I'm speaking as I don't want to say a seasoned parent, a parent in training, right? I have an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old. right? I struggle sometimes to see that, but when I sit down, I remember that, yeah, toys and dancing and all these things, that's their problems, and it's real to them, right? So parents, do your best to also sit down with your kids, and if they want to talk, try and be open. I know as Ghanaians, it's a little hard because that's not how my parents grew up. I don't want to say that's not how all you grew up. That's not how they grew up, right? So at the end of the day, I'm sure it's challenging for them. Again, on top of their problems, I'm sure it's challenging for them too. But youth, the responsibility is also on you to be able to approach your parents, right? Well, you can't keep it in, because if you keep it in, then it can lead to, next slide, please. Oh, okay, you can't really see very well, but it leads to factors that affect youth crime. So over here I had, again, your peer group. Any youth that I've dealt with in trouble, why are they there? Well, my friend did this and I did this. Youth do not do crime alone. They won't just go somewhere on their own. Now, generally speaking, they don't just go somewhere and then say, I'm going to do this. No, they're usually with a friend. Sometimes it's not a very good friend, right? Over here, again, mental health is an issue as well. Again, Ghana, I grew up here and said, oh, right? There's something wrong with him, right? And you know what? It might be true, but saying it and not doing anything about it doesn't help, right? And now, these days, especially with the rise of social media and drugs being accessible anywhere and all these things, youth are coming into distress, right? Whether it's by their own doing or other factors, including family, right? Sometimes you have some families where unfortunately they're going through divorce or they go through death, and they lose a family member, right? And that can trigger some of the factors that'll have them commit crimes. Over here, there's a picture that says we are hiring. Unemployment, right? And if you look at unemployment and schools, youth can't be classified as unemployed because youth are generally doing what? They're going to school. But if you find yourself as either not going to school or not having a job, right? At the end of the day, what else are you doing, right? Studies, I'm sure there are many, many studies that have shown that people who are busy don't have time to commit crimes, right? Summer job, factory, right? 12 hours, 15 hours, whatever it is. I'm too tired. I don't even want to eat. I just want to go to sleep, right? And I say, me school, and I say, me college, me university. I'm doing an apprenticeship, whatever it is. You have to make sure that you stick yourself or put yourself in a position that you are able to avoid, the things that are going on with some of your other friends that might be at school. There's a picture of, I think I was supposed to put a picture of a church there as well. Now, again, because say me share uniform, no, because we so be who say, now what is this police officer saying, right? At the end of the day, is his job to be this or is his job to be that? And can't too much about Nyamesem, but I know Pastor Jima, under his hand, I'm sure the youth understand too that religion is very important. If you believe in a specific, if you have a specific belief, right, at the end of the day, you're going to follow those set of beliefs, which will, again, avoid you from generally keep you away from crime. Why? Because say you have all these people. One, nobody wants to be ashamed, right? Nobody wants to be shamed. So maybe fear might be the motivator to not commit a crime. And that said, you have, love. I know, the congregation loves me. I'm invested in the church. If I go and do this, people are going to be disappointed. I don't want to do that, right? So again, when you look at religion, it plays a very big part. And I know, again, it has in mind. Not to say that I'm perfect, not to say that I haven't committed any sins. I was about to say I haven't committed any crimes, but I haven't committed any. It's not to say that I haven't committed any sins, right? But at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you're fully invested in, any one of these aspects that I've talked about. Next slide, please. Okay, when we talk about youth crime, we have people involved in cyberbullying, human trafficking, and that's a big one now, especially with our youth. And I don't want to say just our teenage females, but our teenage males too are getting involved, right? Whether that's as victims or as suspects. There's a picture of a car, right? They're driving offenses, collisions, things like that. There's a bottle of liquor, and then you have money here. And then up there, we have what we call things like sextortion, right? where you'll be send a picture, right? We'll send a picture, well, yeah, sweetie, darling, sweetie. Nah, we'll send a picture. And then all of a sudden, that picture is all over the school, right? These are all specific crimes that youth have been involved in. And a lot of times, they don't even know that they might not even know it's a crime. Why? Because they're not mature enough to think like adults. It's not to say that they can't be mature. It's just generally they're not mature, right? They say that the youth mind, or I guess the male youth matures at the age of 25. Think of everything that you've done all the way up until 25. If you're going to mature at 25, it might be too late, right? So when you live in places, and not glorifying the place that I grew up in, but when you live in places like where we've grown up in Toronto, let's say, right? Or you grow up in Falstaff and all these other places. No, if you're not involved in crime, that's great. But those places, unfortunately, force our children to grow up faster, right? And then it takes away from their childhood. It's not to place blame on any of the parents that live there. If that's where you live, that's how it is, right? And then you supplement that with the guidance of, whether it's two parents or whether it's one single devoted parent, right? You supplement that with education, work, religion, right? That way you can make sure that you cross through the adversity and then you make it to where you need to be. But generally speaking, if you're going to say, okay, I'm ready to mature at 25, you're probably unemployed. You probably have a criminal record. You probably have no friends or no good friends. Right? You want to make sure that you're always thinking about that. And for youth, again, it's difficult for them to think about their future. All they care about is, no, not all. Most of what they care about is their friends, their phone, their computer, and where are we going, right? Next slide, please. Oh, that's the best picture of a gun I could find. I'm sure you guys believe that. Next slide. Okay, here's a question. At what age can you be arrested? Who has the answer? Yeah, you put your hand there. How old? 11? The answer is wrong, but you'll get a prize for at least trying.
Thank you.
Sir in the gray. 15? Oh, now you want to change? Who said any age? Any age is the answer. I can arrest you at any age. Now, again, Yemfane said, I have Tiana. Tiana, how old are you? 10. Okay. Right? Yemfane said, I have a 10-year-old. That's it. And actually, this happened last week. A mental health call, a child, Akulabi, wa friend 911, was in a papa bono. You drew hono, one 10 years old. We arrested him. We arrested him and took him to a hospital because it was mental health, right? So the law allows me to arrest anybody that has committed a criminal offense, or in terms of the other legislative acts, Mental Health Act, it was in this case, right? So you can be arrested at any age. The question is, can you be charged? The criminal code says a child cannot be charged unless they're 12 years old. So anybody above 12 can be charged. Now, just because you can't be charged, that doesn't mean that I'm 9 and I'm going to go do all these things. No. Obviously, there's going to be some questions that'll be asked. Parents will be involved, and then it will go a different route than if you were an adult. Okay? So the answer is any age. Next slide, please. Okay? Cyber safety. Again, this is more, again, for the children, because they're the ones that are using the internet a lot more than the parents. Okay? Who knows, or who can explain what this picture means? Privacy equals toothpaste. Who can explain? Does anybody want to try? Sorry? The question is, what does privacy have to do with toothpaste? Sir? What's your name? Elias? Are your parents here? That's not even fair. Thank you. All right. You're right. No, you're right. You're right. You cannot share? Who else? Sam. It's not you cannot share, no. That's right. That's right. Your child already has something, so. Fair enough. Here. You might not want to hack, but I'll give you a bag. Here you go. Thank you. For trying. Yeah. Right. So we use toothpaste, a free tube, you can't put it back in, right? Just like I explained, you share a picture with somebody, you don't have control over where it goes, right? Even if you protect that picture or you put these, the technological locks and all these things in it, it can still be shared, okay? So when you are on the internet, never share your private information. Now, again, if you're buying something online, unfortunately, you have to do that. But should you be sharing more than you need to? No, right? I've had calls where teenagers will say that, oh, yeah, I was on Snapchat, and someone offered me $2,000 if I send my bank account number, right? They send the money to the child. Okay, yeah, let me go put it in. All of a sudden, the child goes back to the bank. Oh, my money is gone, right? You've opened the door for someone to access your private information, right? A lot of times, people will share their social insurance number. And you share it, that's it, you're done. It's over, right? Somebody can take out loans, somebody can do anything with that. So please, just make sure you're aware. Before you share any information, ask yourself, should I be doing this? Okay? Never post anything you don't want someone else to share. Again, Facebook. Oh, my status. Oh, I'm feeling really sad and I want to hurt myself. All of a sudden, now police, and then now you have yourself an issue, right? Mental health apprehension. And I say, even open yourself up to that, okay? And then one of the other ones, again, children, they're very inquisitive, they're very smart. They're going to find a way around many other things. They want to know things, right? They want to explore the world. Never agree to meet with someone you don't know. Obviously, that can lead to many, many, many different bad situations, right? So those are some of the small tips. I know it's not a lot, and if I'd gotten here on time, if it wasn't for that motorcyclist, which I did give him 2 tickets. So I told him, I'm going to Toronto, and you stopped me now, so now you're getting 2 tickets. But, right, if it wasn't for that, I'd be able to go into it more. But unfortunately, that's what I have for now anyway. Next slide, please. So, the media, really quickly, okay? I'm sure if you watch TV, if you go on the computer, you know what any one of these things mean. You have sports, you have news, you have social media, right? Next slide. Okay? You know what? I won't talk about this just in the interest of time. Let's go to the next one, please. Okay? Everybody know who that is, right? Okay. He's not my favorite player. Michael Jordan's better. Who wants to disagree? Okay, so that video I was going to show you, it was a video. A 911 call was received in Columbus. Somebody called 911 and said there was a fight and somebody had a knife. Police show up, somebody gets kicked down, and I'm not sure if anybody's seen this video, but you know what? Can you click on the LeBron James picture, please? Can you click on the LeBron James picture, please? Okay, anyway, doesn't matter. Police show up, they see somebody with a knife about to stab somebody. And then, obviously, the police had to take matters into their hands, protect that person that was stabbed, or that was going to be stabbed. That incited all this outrage. Why are the police shooting black people? Why are the police shooting black teenagers? Actually, I think it might be here, yeah. Yeah, if you can make it bigger, please. There's no sound capability. Is there sound capability, or? Wait to me the sound out. Very good. Video no okay, very good. Video no now wait to me start in the beam. Thank you. Can start in the beam. And that's it. Okay, you guys watch this video and think of yourselves as a police officer and what you would do.
Possible. Police say 16-year-old Michaela Bryant was trying to stab 2 people with a knife. The officer fires and Bryant falls to the ground. The teen was later pronounced dead at the hospital.
Deadly force can be used to protect yourself or the protection of the third person. So that is
protesters from taking to the streets into the night to demand justice for Bryant's life. Officials are calling for calm while the incident is investigated. It's unclear who started the initial fight or who called police.
Thank you. Okay, we can close that off now. Thank you. Okay, so you watched that video. Again, all you've seen is, I think the video was about 1:40 or 50 seconds. That's all we know. Okay, that video first comes out. Obviously now we know a lot more. If we can close the browser, please. Let's click down here. Yep. Okay, all we know is what we've seen. Judging from what we've seen, who feels comfortable telling me what they saw? There's a prize in it for you. No? Sam, how you doing? Good. What did you see on the screen there? Stand up, please. Sorry. Sorry?
So yeah, there was acts of violence with a huge encounter with multiple people involved.
Yep. Acts of violence, multiple people involved.
And
Sorry
of
about
course, objects involved too.
that. Okay. Did anybody see that man on the right side of the screen kick some woman down?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one thing. As soon as you come to the call, that officer is the first on the screen. That's the first thing he sees. Then what does he see? Thank you, Samuel. Who wants to continue? Tiana, do you want to continue? I saw your hand. Somebody with a knife. Okay. Right? And what was that person with a knife about to do? Stab someone. So, as that officer said in the press conference, the police have the right to defend anybody that's in danger or a third party that's in danger. That's not the exact words he used, but that's what he's saying. Okay? That officer, unfortunately, had to shoot that teenager. Okay? That's very, very, very sad. Child does not need to have to go down like that. At the end of the day, if that officer didn't act, what would happen? Stab. Someone would get hurt. If somebody got hurt, what would people then say? The police officer didn't. Right? And then what would they say? He's the R word, right? Right? Or things like that. Anyway, again, I'm just looking at one video. I'm not saying what the officer did was right. I'm not saying what the officer did was wrong. What I'm saying is the officer was justified. Okay? Now, people will then ask, I heard someone say shoot to kill. Right? That's not what we do. We don't shoot to kill. We don't shoot to kill. Very good. Very good. So, somebody likes Joe Biden because Joe Biden, the president of the United States, went and said, oh, why can't we just shoot him in the leg? I'm going to give, who's got good eye? Who's got the best eyes in this room? Okay, you've got 4. You've got 4 eyes, okay? What I want you to do is, let's say the officer was about this far. I want you to hit me in the hand with that bottle I just gave you. Right? I want you to hit me in the hand. Thank you very much. Do you see why we don't shoot people in the leg? We don't shoot people in the leg. People have to understand that the police officers have to stop a threat. Okay? If I shoot somebody in the leg, even if he hit me, what else do I have? I have my 2 legs, I have my other arm. Right? I can still bend down, I might be in pain. I still bend down, pick up the knife or whatever it is and keep going. And then what? Then I have to shoot you some more, and then people will say, oh, well, that's excessive force, right? The police, unfortunately, they're in a position that they have to react. We only have a few seconds once we get there, especially in a chaotic scene like that. Somebody's being kicked, somebody's about to be stabbed. The person being kicked is not dying, okay? So, yes, it's bad, but now my focus is on where the threat is. And the threat has to be stopped. Unfortunately, if that leads to death, no police officer will wake up in the morning and say, okay, who am I going to shoot today? Whose life do I want to ruin today? Nobody wakes up and does that, right? I wouldn't wish that upon anybody who, even the worst criminal in the world, right? Now, why is LeBron James here? Because this incident happened on April 20th, I think at around, earlier than 6 p.m. LeBron James is a police officer, so he goes on Twitter and says, "You're next," hashtag accountability. For the adults that don't understand, if you put hashtag accountability, we'll click accountability, anything that has anything to do with accountability will show up. Now, the reason he put that was because that was the day that the George Floyd officer, Derek Chauvin, that was the day that he was sentenced or he was found guilty. Okay? So, using all of his emotion and all of his police skills, LeBron James went on Twitter and put that. Okay? Then, that's at 6:06 p.m. Then, about almost an hour and a half later, Anger does, and it's written, this is how he wrote it, okay? This is not me making errors. Anger does any of us any good, and that includes myself. Gathering all the facts and educating does, though. My anger still is here for what happened, that little girl. My sympathy for her family, and may justice prevail. Okay? I'm not going to go on about his education and what he's written here. That would be below anybody in here. At the end of the day, this is a multi-million, maybe billion-dollar athlete who knows he has a lot of influence. And he's gone online and he's accused an officer of, I'm sure what we can all imagine is murder, is what he thinks is murder. Okay? Then he says he demands justice for all. Again, if that officer did not take action, would LeBron James be up there still demanding justice? Absolutely. The justice system doesn't take care of black people, even though the crime was a black-on-black crime, right? It just doesn't make, if it makes sense to somebody here, please tell me and explain, right? And it's not a challenge, it's just education, so that I'm aware. Maybe I'm missing something, because yeah, I'm gonna admit, yes, I'm biased. Why? Because of what I'm wearing, because of the job that I do. But at the same time too, I have to understand that emotion has to be taken out of my job. Yes, I'm a human being, you know, I cry, I get sad, I get mad, I get happy. We all have emotions. But if we're looking at this from an emotional standpoint, everything LeBron James said is right. If we're looking at it from a legal and, dare I say, common sense, he is wrong. Okay? April 21st, the next day at 7:31. I'm so damn tired of seeing black people killed by police. I took the tweet down. He took down that first tweet there. I took the tweet down because it's being used to create more hate. Is that right? Who created the hate? This isn't about one officer. It's about the entire system, and they always use our words to create more racism. The justice system didn't tweet "you're next" accountability. The justice system didn't tweet that other horribly written text or tweet, right? But now he is accusing people, he's accusing the justice system of using his own words to create racism. I'm so desperate for more accountability. Okay? On May 3rd, I fueled the wrong conversation about the girl, and I owe it to her and this movement to change it. Thank you, and then I guess this is the person that helped educate him, for educating us about her story and why this needs to be about her. Okay? We can talk at length, we can talk until I'm old and gray about all of these videos that we see. Okay? I'm not saying that every video that you see where there's a police shooting is wrong or is right. Right? What I'm saying is you need to take the emotion when you see these things, you need to take the emotion out of it. Next slide, please. You need to take the emotion out of it, and you need to look at it with an objective lens, right? If I say objectively, this carpet is red, right? Someone out here can say, well, no, it's burgundy. Someone else will say, oh, no, it's actually maroon, or, right? People will have those discussions. Now, whether it's red, whether it's maroon, whether it's a shade of red, people need to be able to look at it that way. And then when it's necessary, you dive deep into what it is that we're judging, right? I'm sure everybody has either seen an episode or heard of any of these shows, right? Law and Order, CSI. Anybody watch this one? 911? Nobody? No? Who? You watch it? How do you like it? It's good? Someone said it's amazing. Who said it? Is it amazing? Now, remember, I did this job. I was a dispatcher, okay? And when this first came out, I was watching it, and I said, this is not my job. I don't know where everybody is all the time. I don't do all of this stuff, right? You have people, dispatchers, getting off their desks, and they're going out and driving in their car, and they're going to solve the problem themselves. That's not what we do, right? The Rookie. Who's seen The Rookie? No? Nobody? Just because you raised your hand, I'll give you a hat. Good catch. Right? The Rookie. These are all great entertainment shows. The problem is, us as a society, we've now come to expect police officers to be superheroes. I don't fly, right? I don't read people's minds, right? But yet, here we are, calling a police officer because somebody threw a rock. This is a real call, by the way. Somebody threw a rock through my window. Not my window, but this person's window. The person calls. Somebody threw a rock through my window. Okay, we'll try and get police there to try and help you out, right? Is that the biggest emergency in the world? Is the person dying? Is the person bleeding? No. About 20, 25 minutes later, the person calls again and says, hey, are you guys sending police? Because I need to clean this up. Are you guys going to come and take fingerprints from the rock? Right? This is when I was a dispatcher. And I said, I'm pretty sure we can't get prints from the rocks, but if you want to leave it, go ahead. I can't tell you what to do. Right? I'm not saying this person watched any of these shows, but somewhere, somehow, the person got it in their mind that police officers have superpowers to be able to get fingerprints from rocks. Okay? That's not true. That's not how life works. Next slide, please. Okay? So, because of all this media sensation about police shootings or police brutality, and again, I'm not saying only black people. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, in general, okay? Because of all of this, it's led to a society of this. And this is a real situation for me. I'm obviously not that person standing there. I'm not that big. But I'm standing there just talking to someone. Now, obi the phone. Now, not this close, but what now? Now we'll film this, right? Why? What have I done? I'm talking to somebody. Right? What's the reason for it? Now, if I go and I tell them you need to leave, oh, that's my right, my freedom of what? Freedom of speech, right? The one everybody knows. Wow. Now, I know, I'm not going to go get mad. I mean, I love my job. I love my family. I'm not going to go do something that'll jeopardize any of that. But, I'm going to say, okay, let me continue. Right? And then that was it. And then it finished. You know what else happened? That's it. It was over. But this person seems to think that this was the biggest deal in the life that I was stopping to talk to someone. Next slide, please. Okay, so that's the presentation I have. I'm sorry that I had to be rushed. I'm sorry that, again, I was late. With Pastor Jima's blessing, if we can take some questions. I don't know if you want to put a time limit. I'm here until you guys don't need me anymore, until we end. And I see Uncle Kwame, which now, hold on one second. Any question you have. If I know the answer, I will answer it. If I don't know the answer, I will tell you, and then, hold on one second. One second. What I'm going to do before I leave, I'll leave my card with Pastor Jima. It's got my legal name on it, which I'm sure most people don't know. Let's put it this way. My best friend, one of my best friends, Godwin, he found out when we were going, I think, to the States, and he said, "That's your name? I feel like you defrauded me," right? But anyway, Godwin, if you're watching, hi, I miss you. Please come back to Ontario. Okay, so yeah, I'll take any questions you guys have. Again, let's try and be professional. I'll answer the first two questions. Yes, I've pulled out my gun. Yes, I've pointed my gun at someone. Yes, I've had to discharge my gun at an animal, not at a person. Okay? So, now, let's get on with the questions. Sam, did I answer your question? What was it? Do you think you could confidently shoot a person on the leg? Have you considered a job in policing? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't talk about that. Okay, why didn't you use your taser? Why didn't you use your pepper spray? If somebody's coming at me with a knife, how certain am I that my taser is going to work? How certain am I that my pepper spray is going to work? If my pepper spray has a certain distance, am I going to stand here and spray like I'm spraying Febreze until that person gets right here and then I pull out my gun and no, right? Which is, again, the reason why the public, when we see these things, I don't want to say let's use common sense because it seems like people get a little bit upset at that. Somebody once told me common sense is a flower that doesn't grow in everybody's garden, right? So let's use our judgment and our minds to make sure that we're answering these questions ourselves. Uncle, sorry, go ahead.
Obisi Kaira, ya peke no abonti ho inti o can't tell me how much na with the amount. Yeah.
Okay, Uncle Tieku, let's let Uncle Kwame talk because I know he had his hand up and it almost fell off. So let's have him talk first.
It's on the same line with the SAMs.
Yeah.
Are police officers allowed to use lethal force in any situation? Because what he is saying is you are supposed to disable the person. So using a taser would disable the person. So a police officer thinking that, I have to use a lethal force to maybe kill the person or something, sometimes it's discretionary, or is it the law that he should use lethal force?
Thank you for the question. So along with what I had said in the beginning, just about the criminal code and the laws that police have to follow involving force, the force has to be reasonable, proportionate, and necessary, okay? If somebody and again, I'm gonna use Tiana as an example. If Tiana is 10 years old and she starts coming at me from where she's sitting with a pen, am I gonna pull out my gun and start shooting over here? No, I'm not gonna do that, okay? If Tiana comes at me with a knife, and again, she's 10 years old, and she comes at me with a knife and she's over there, do I feel comfortable shooting a child? If anybody said yes, if anybody said no, you're both wrong. The answer is, it depends on the situation. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but a lot of these answers or questions always are answered with, it depends. Every situation is different, right? Every situation is different, so I can't definitively say that yes, I would use my gun on this time or this time. But there are some situations that are known. For me, personally, if I know somebody has a knife, I'm getting ready to defend myself, or as we saw in the video, the protection of a third person, right? If somebody has a knife and then they're breaking a window and they're not pointing it at me or anything like that, am I going to use my gun? Again, I don't know, right? If that person then puts the knife down after hitting the property, now they're attacking property. Is property life? Is anybody getting injured? Right? So yeah, maybe I won't use my gun in that situation, but every situation is dependent. To answer your question, a blanket answer is no. I can't just use my gun anytime I want, right? Obi say, get out, in some country, Obi say, you have to get out of the car. And I say, well, challenge me out. I'm not going to my gun. Why? I haven't seen anything that makes me believe that the person has a gun or that there's a serious threat or imminent danger to my life or anybody's life. So generally, the guideline is if there is a serious threat of bodily harm or imminent danger or imminent death, hey, it's game time, right? Now, again, I say it's game time like I've done it before. I haven't done it before. But at the end of the day, that's the training that we get. Does that answer the question? Thank you, Uncle Kwame. Uncle Tieku.
Okay. The first question is...
Sorry, by the way, congrats.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The first question is already answered. That was the first one that I was about to ask.
Okay.
But the second question is racism, right? Obi, police in the asama to be so. The person will be in jail for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years in America.
Uh-huh.
At the end, then they find the truth that the person didn't cause a crime.
Mm-hmm.
What are police doing about this issue?
Well, because you said it was in America, I don't know.
It's Canada too. It's here. Okay.
In Canada, listen, At the end of the day, no.
It's something that's going on, okay,
Yeah,
in the police
okay.
departments.
Okay.
They force charges against people.
Now, and again, sometimes these questions, we have to, I don't want to ask you specifics. I don't know if it has to do with anybody you know. I don't know if it has to, and I don't want to know.
No, it's not that's somebody there I know, but we listen to the news, right?
Yes,
That's
but again, we listen to the news. Okay, keep that in mind. The news's goal is what? Who knows what the media's goal is? Somebody will have to stand and speak, just because I hear sensation. Exactly. Why? Because they want.
Saying that what I'm saying is not true. It's not happening in America.
That's not what I said. I'm just saying first.
No,
that's what's happening.
Can I help you? He had made a statement. Person said he doesn't speak for other. Certain questions be I think say any fair to him. You must say related to because you don't need to be put on the spot, sir.
Fair enough. Pastor, thank you for stepping in. But what I'll tell you, though, is this. At the end of the day, like I said, if you find a police officer that's waking up and says, okay, today I'm going to investigate a crime, and I'm going to put you in jail, even though the suspect is a female white person with blonde hair, and nope, it's you. I'm taking you to jail. Let's go. Right? Obviously, that's an extreme example. But no police officer is going to wake up and say, I'm going to charge somebody. I don't care who it is. I'm just going to charge them just so they can stop calling me, and then we'll move on. And then they get wrongfully convicted. No. Again, depending on the situation, investigations may lead to that person maybe being wrongfully accused. There's also a jury. If they say, I'm going to go by a jury, right? Again, court is about selling the best story. It may or may not be true. I don't know what the story is, but they usually say there's three versions. There's your version, there's my version, and there's the real story, that God knows, right? At the end of the day, no. If a jury then decides, a jury of your peers, they say, 12 people will say, well, you know what? The lawyer did a good job. He's guilty. Or the lawyer did a good job. He's not guilty. That's not the police arrest, but the police don't convict. That's not the police's job. So that, I hope, gives you kind of an idea as to why that happens.
The last question here, I was once going to U.S., right? Mm-hmm. And on the way, I saw a car hit a deer.
Yeah.
And I said to my wife, we do a fresh mianfa.
Uh-huh. Is the question, can I take the deer?
Yeah. And my son told me, better offer a bet you all. It's a ruse.
Yeah, the deer police is coming to get you.
We stopped side of the road and we are debating about, we are four of us. But at the end of the month, because let me see. Now, the question so say
no. You've done the police a favor by doing that. And then, but the other thing is, you put yourself at risk because you don't know what disease that deer has. Fresh or unfresh. Like humans, we may appear healthy outside, but we don't know what's going on inside. Right? So just keep that in mind. Thank you. Folks, I know there's going to be many questions. Let's try and make it one question at a time. And then if there's more time, you can come back and ask those other questions. Uncle Dan.
Officer, just in case
No.
you
Sorry.
are driving.
I'm sorry, let me stop you. Please, just call me Kevin or Pa
Kevin.
or Pache or whatever it is.
Kevin.
Don't worry about officer. Yes, sir.
Sir, o drive on na police chinawa.
Uh-huh.
Right, me say, dear na ubitimi aye. Dear na ubitimi abusawo. And whatever advice.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that question. So I knew traffic stops would be one of the questions. I had a slide, but I took it out just in the interest of time. Basically, it's a traffic stop. Who wants to be my driver? You'll be my. Oh no, I've already picked you for something. I don't trust your driving with the way that you throw. Uncle Dan, come here. Please, sorry, Uncle Dan, please come here. Okay? You're in the front. You turn around and face everybody. Woo, woo, woo. Majano. Good evening. I'm Constable Boache with the. I say Boache because people will look at my name and look at me and they're trying to figure out and they're not listening to what I'm saying. So I'm Constable Boache with the Elgin OPP. The reason I've stopped you is. Why did I stop you? You tell me. You tell me.
I don't know.
No. Just make an example.
I think I'm going.
So, okay, I stopped you for speeding. That's the most common one. So I stopped you for speeding. You're going 110 in a posted 80. Okay? Driver's license, ownership, and insurance. Okay, this is how I do my traffic stops. I'm not speaking for everybody else. Some may be nice, some will not talk to you, they'll just ask for the things, they won't even ask you anything, they'll come back, here's your ticket, here's your warning, whatever, and then you're off. So is there a reason why you were speeding?
I have to get to a place within a short time.
Where is that place?
It's an emergency, family emergency that I'm trying to respond.
Okay, is everybody okay?
I don't know, I have to go there to find out. I'm told to get there immediately.
Okay, do you need an ambulance?
No.
Okay, see? So right there, thank you, Uncle Dan. Thank you. So right there, please help yourself to a bag or anything else. Yeah. Okay, so right there, Uncle Dan does not have to answer all my questions. Okay? When you're stopped, you have the right to know why you were stopped. Okay? Whether you believe it or not, doesn't matter. Right? You have the right to know why you were stopped. You have the right not to answer most questions. Okay? If I say, whose car is this? And you say, I don't want to answer. Okay, hand me your information. Right? When I see the ownership, okay, well, because you didn't want to answer now I'm getting suspicious. Why don't you want to answer that question? And I ask you, okay, well, it says here the car is Mama May's. And let's say Mama May has a different last name. Why are you driving it? Oh, I don't want to answer. Okay, I'll be back, right? And that traffic stop is probably going to be one of the longest traffic stops. Why? Because you made it the longest traffic stop by not answering that question. Now, again, it's your right not to answer. You don't have to answer that. But understand that now that officer isn't just going to say, okay, bye, and then walk away. No, they're now going to investigate because it seems like it's suspicious and it's odd that somebody wouldn't answer such a simple question. Well, now, everything else I asked you, when you said, oh yeah, I was speeding to an emergency. Okay. Do you need an ambulance? No. I thought you said it's an emergency. Right? At the end of the day, no. You don't have to tell me your life story. But say, and I've done this a lot where I've asked people, is it an emergency? Yeah, it's an emergency. Is everybody okay? No, my daughter's sick. Okay, do you want me to call an ambulance to head there? No, it's fine. Right? Police officers get lied to all the time. All the time. And I know growing up in my parents' house, lying was the one thing they did not like. And I can remember many, many stories, which we won't go into today, where as a child I lied and I suffered the consequences, even for 10 cents. So, that being said, you don't have to answer all the questions. But if an officer is telling you, you have to, what's your name? No, I'm not telling your name. Okay, now it's game time. And if you refuse, then you can be arrested and detained until you provide that name, and so on. And then we deal with the speeding ticket and any other offense that we have, because I know most officers, as soon as you now give them a hard time for one thing, okay, now your one speeding ticket can turn out to be you failed to provide insurance, failed to provide your permit, broken tail, right? At the end of the day, you opened yourself up to that, right? Simple example, just 3 days ago, red light, obiatra red light. What's the reason? I didn't pass the red light. Well, yeah, you were behind the line, you turned, and then you went through. Mijano me who said phone, air vent and that video airbow phone so. And I'm beside and say, why do you have a video playing? Oh, it's my music through the car. And I said, yeah, but the video is playing. I said, oh, it's just YouTube, right? What can you na? Right? Mijna hono nina wa my attitude. Said the license in Krano, the insurance in Krano. In the permit in Kwane, right? Because I'm a good-natured person, no me man a ticket for red light in the phone, no. Ne buefu said me the phone ticket in the man. I know it's going to trial. I'm sure of it. So I already have all my notes ready and everything. But anyway, long story is short. You don't have to answer those questions if you don't want to. But if the officer is telling you, hey, you need to answer, great. If you disagree, that's fine too. But in your roadside now, yebedi lawyer Sam. That's not what it's for. Right? I've given you the ticket. It's going to happen. It can either just be a ticket and you get on your way, or it can be worse. Do you want to be a victim of injury? I'm not going to say violence. All over a traffic stop, right? Take the ticket. If they don't explain it to you, that's it. You read the back of the ticket, you have your options. That's it. A traffic stop can take anywhere between 4 minutes and an hour or more. Right? Because the person is not being cooperative. Okay? And it's not blaming anybody. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is a lot of times we're all misinformed. right? Mijina will be license, ownership, and insurance. Oh, I don't have it. Okay, write your name, date of birth, and address. The pakrona went in the chain and said, don't write it. Let me catch the mom and say, listen, do you want to be arrested? Because if you continue, you will be arrested for obstruct, and then your driver will be arrested for failing to identify, right? All of these things. Now, why? And honestly, I'm just checking to see why you did what you did. Does that answer?
I don't know whether there's a saying that hold the drivers.
Okay.
I don't know whether
Yeah.
it's in America or here.
Yeah.
Or can you call immediately you are stopped?
Yeah. Okay. Until the Uncle Dan maybe trying to say, as a driver, what am I supposed to do? I've gone to traffic stops where it be being so. What you know what teho? Majinano, what doom kano, a womb, what bium pumanina, me drew can anima. Why you just ding, right? Like something's gonna happen. Like just relax. Right? I'm kind of say you can relax. It's okay. Wow. Bibinin. So why? Everything we've seen on TV. And now say even with the fact that sometimes, especially among ethnic, I kind of say ethnic people, no, right? They tell you, okay, when you get stopped, this is what you have to do. This, and this, right? Na akolano, what they are tuna dream say, police in the bomb and I'll be shooting me, right? That's not how it is. The police are trained to be able to look and see signs of danger most of the time anyway, right? Or any signs of people lying to them. Well, which is why I led to those follow-up questions with Uncle Dan. Where are you going? Emergency at home. Do you need an ambulance? No. Well, if it's an emergency, why don't you need, right? You see what I mean? Indeed, that's kind of, so in terms of your demeanor and your posture, just be respectful. The one thing I will suggest, make sure your hands are seen at all times. And don't you hold the steering wheel or put your hand on the dash or all these things, right? The main thing you want to do at a traffic stop, follow direction. Okay? Make sure your hands are visible, especially at night, because hey, what are you doing? Right? Are you trying to take a gun out? Are you trying to get your driver's license? I don't know what you're doing. So stop what you're doing. Does that help? Okay.
Yeah, Kevin, quickly.
Yes.
And I'm saying recording into this official question of sensitive nature. Unyankoi, Yapoa, wait me busana or no waka wasem. Just
Uncle Keke, go ahead. Into the mic, please.
Oh, the mic is okay. Papa Yadawasi. If it's a Musa, Ujina host is here. Oh, camera on home. Is a camera on you, on your body camera?
I don't have a body camera, no. The OPP is moving in that direction. Some places have it, other places don't. Okay. For me right now, I don't have one.
Okay. So my question is not valid because if you have the body camera, when do you turn on the body camera and when do you turn off the body camera and who controls the body camera?
So the person wearing the camera controls the body camera.
Okay.
Okay? Our cars have cameras now. So it can read license plates and all these things. And when we saw lights and sirens now, the camera automatically goes on. Right? Whether it's going to be used or not, that depends on what the situation is. Say, I don't know if they contest it and it goes to court and it shows them doing the offense that I stopped them, then it goes to court. Right? If it's not relevant, then it just stays there and it gets deleted.
Because the reason why I'm asking is sometimes, especially Toronto, there has been a lot of cases here whereby say police may not turning off the camera. They control the camera from somewhere and now say they intentionally say turn off the camera. And when did they turn off the camera and turn on the camera in order to capture what is going on?
Yeah, no problem, Uncle. I can't speak for other police services, but usually the rule has been, most of the time, it's in any interaction, your camera goes on. And police officers can actually get in trouble for not turning on their cameras, right? At the end of the day, no. It's not a market. If you're going to take it, take it. Right? No problem. The police officers have their duty and they have their rules. Now, I'm not saying that is wise, is set, BBC, unfortunately, now you go to a police officer shows up. Hey, why don't you have your camera on? Turn on your camera, turn on your camera, turn on your camera. Now with the phone, right? No, don't do that. Mark it down. When there's a time for complaints and all that stuff, then you file your complaint, right? Uncle Joe, go ahead.
Okay, maybe the other year. I would say Ontario plates, car plates, Now your stickers be the bought plate nechi. Now you renew every year. But premium buy, or scrabble those stickers,
Yeah.
Say my find any bill. But my who say my friends be more hard, it be pull over. Amount take it.
Yep.
Most police also who are or mountain.
Yep.
Now what jail who differences now.
So thank you. Thank you for your question, Uncle Joe. At the end of the day, police officers, there are specific times that police officers have discretion. As long as it's not criminal, like when it's criminal code in TBB to say chrono, and not say wukukumbi, and not say wakobo yere, and wakobo knu, or whatever. A lot of times we don't have that discretion. Driving discretion, like I explained in that traffic stop with the red light and the phone. She also didn't have her driver's license. She didn't have her insurance. Because I'm such a nice guy, I only gave her warnings. Why? Because I can do that. Okay? So with most provincial offenses acts, or most provincial, offenses, the smaller ones like driving, and not say where you're not supposed to, and not say cigarette baby, and now you trespass. We don't always have to give tickets, right? So when it comes to the license plates, an officer sometimes, in front of say he's bored, right? I want to stop someone. Now who said what trim? Not say your license plate expired. So pal, which me out ticket. So if he doesn't want to, he can just let you go, right? It all depends on what the officer is doing. Is the officer busy or anything like that? Now with the plates, which I'm sure everybody here is going to be happy if you drive. July 1st, they're going to be automatic renewals, right? As long as your driver's license is valid, you don't owe any fines, your driver's license isn't suspended, all these things, Apparently, and this is what the Premier is saying, they're going to renew it automatically so you don't have to worry about it. And that ticket is $110 to renew your license, or renew your plate. Who wants to guess the price? Who knows? $100. Very good. It's free. Frankly speaking, I won't give somebody a ticket for that unless it's set, BB, not set, is very aggravating, right? And will go speed almost more than 50 kilometers per hour. And I'm who said, and your plate is expired. And this, and right? Not yatakani now also. But again, that's every officer is different. I'm just explaining the way I miss you. I hope that answers your question. Thank you. What's your name?
Michaela.
Michaela? Who's your mom or dad?
My mom's Angelina, and my dad's Emmanuel.
Oh, okay. What's your question?
My question is, have you ever had to go look for someone that stole money?
That stole money? Yes. Obi Korea, Obi credit card. I was every the card. When the boyfriend and the girlfriend, I used to card, best 7 times. The problem is that a smart. We walk a store and I walk a gas station, I walk to gas, and then a camera, right? Was in the car, on one car, a Korea gas, lotto tickets. Anyone, when you know you're a camera, so and I understand about play to know, Mahun say, okay, this is the person, right? A lot of times, it's not their first time, right? Aquano or tattoos. Tiano understand my database be a yawo. We have a database of all tattoos, but everything that you do, it gets recorded. And say, Uncle Dan, so what for police? Not say me ba fear. I have to write a report. Say me ba fear. Not say me. Sorry, what's your name? Mine Harry Kasa. His name is going on that report too, right? And Tidachimbi say BBC me who say okay, Uncle Dan so neto. And you can and Henry neto. I was just him say there's another dancer in this place too. But anyway, I mean who say Harry Waho. I know that okay, now there's Harry in the house. Tiyampana said these two are now connected. Not say me who said Uncle Dan so I call you BB. Nama who said, one boy be ne koye, but me need ding. My share record no say who else is associated with that person. I mean who said Harry picture wo. And then I see the picture and I compare, no, hey, I've got my criminals, right? At the end of the day, no. Oh, where's she? Where'd she go? Right? So yeah, that's how you have to do investigative work, and that's how you catch people. At the end of the day, no, yes. Nipa di timi di chrono. Is it right? No. Sometimes they're doing it for what they perceive as the right reason. Oh, I have to feed this and I have to, right? At the end of the day, no, it's still a criminal charge. Right? But to answer that question, yes, we do catch thieves too. Uncle, go ahead. Yes.
Yo.
Loud and clear.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What say right? This is I'm missing a little bit long. Quite who fast with the room. We introduce one. Which you make a crowd experience of Nyan, Laffy, and son of the cool police. And I'm a baho. Is here your community? Pina Koe Police Foundation. Kaumunya Police Ibia, Womo Ebe so. A combat fast a building ready ye. Yamiadum, which I can be out to Hame. A call fast I would do them 2 pro.
Thank you.
Intino them quina ubi to me at saying so a more free maybe no more. The future where then rank no digital hall as a graduate.
Thank you. I'll answer the question backwards. So I'm a provincial constable. I'm a road officer. I'm not a sergeant. You're a sergeant. You're a staff sergeant. You're a chief. You're an inspector. I don't mean to say it in a way that's negative, but to say no, I'm at the bottom of the ladder. Well, indeed, I do all the work. Well, I don't want to say I do all the work. I do the work on the road level as well as some of my other partners as well. In terms of Sinyamisi, how I became an officer and how I got here, no, there's a lot to go through, and maybe on another time I'll be able to explain fully. But pretty much, you put in your application. It's a very lengthy application. And I think back, my application was 66 pages, 66. And then you have to scan all of it, and you have to send it, and all these things, right? A lot of it asks about education, life experience, driving. Yes, driving tickets as well count. Any criminal acts, anything that you've done in the past, they will look into it, and they'll find it. So if you lie, you're done right off the bat. And then you're expelled for a year. Like, as in, you can't reapply for another year. Now, when you reapply, the other service, or whichever service you're gonna ask or apply for, is gonna ask you, have you applied before at any point in time? If you say no and you lie again and they find out, and you can say bye, if you can forget it. If you say yes, they're gonna look into why you were disqualified. And if, for that service, if they say, yeah, we don't want this, thank you for applying, then that you're out of luck. But in terms of the way you get to the job, all of that, let's say you get through, then you go to police college. Police college is, I believe, 13 or 14 weeks now. Depending on your service, after you're done, you either go to more training or you just go on the road right away. With OPP, I had to do an additional 8 weeks of training, and that's in Aurelia, burying channel, right? So I'm about 3-4 hours away from home, Monday to Friday. Sometimes they'll keep you on the weekend, right? And then once you're done that and you graduate, then you now go on the road and you do your training with a coach officer. So you do that for about a year, and if you pass, then you're on your own, this position where I am now, right? So through everything that I've been through in life, and yes, even... Is that Rosalind?
You see the level you went through before you stand before us today. I want people to understand that policing is not a small job, an easy job. You see, it's something that requires patience and all that kind of things that you have discussed. I will congratulate you again because I was once an officer.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you. And what Uncle is saying is true. There's so much that goes into policing, right? Beyond even the knowledge of the laws and everything, you have to stop and think about, everything that you've done, right? With all these rights, am I being videotaped, and am I behaving only because I'm being videotaped, right? Integrity is a big thing. We obi konya accident, right? It didn't call hospital. Our job is to be able to secure the vehicle and everything inside so that I can go to the tow yard. Me be a console no me who said $1,000 eshe console no, right? We send come any papa I wouldn't tell anybody. No, I said me this connection to butum. Now I catch that driver and I say, oh, I don't know what happened. I didn't see it in there when it was there, right? And then you start blaming other people, right? Before you know it, yeah, you can get away, but one time it will be and then now you're left answering all these questions. Well, what Uncle was saying is very true. You have to really look inward, make sure that this is a job, if you're interested, is a job that you want to do. Understand that it takes a lot from your family. And just before I allow you to give a question here, I personally sat down with Madison, my daughter, who was 6 at the time, and my wife, and I said, listen, this is what I want to do. You know that not to say that I've trained to do this, but it makes sense. I've done all these jobs. This is the next logical step. What do you think? Well, so just because it said we're policing, it doesn't mean that everybody else's life has to stop. You have to make sure that you have, your immediate family. So if you're married or anything like that, you have to make sure you have their support. You have to make sure you have the support of your family as well, right? My mother and my sister, my other sister as well, right? At the end of the day, we want to make sure that you're not doing the job and forgetting about home. Uncle, go ahead.
Thank you. We came in late, so I don't know whether you touched base on that, but I want to ask anyway. You see, the things that we've been seeing on TV, and sometimes it's scary.
Yeah.
So people of color.
For your glasses.
Oh, thank you.
That's for your stuff. People of color.
When it's night in a remote area, when you get stopped, sometimes, you're scared.
Yeah.
Right? That something might go wrong. Right? So when you're afraid, police stop you and you think you are afraid, what do you do?
What do I do as the police officer, or what do you do?
Yeah. What can I do that will not, implicate me more?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
Obi hunu our friends and nipa bonini bi eba be shoot ngram ha so
okay. When you said that reminds me of a story. Now me at dispatch, Obi Freya, what kind of car will baby? What Fred police said, oh, there's a police officer following me. Okay, what's wrong? Well, I'm afraid the police officer is going to stop me and shoot me. And I said, and I catch her and say, now what makes you think that? I saw it on TV. Now I'm beside and said, do you live on TV? At the end of the day, no. Uncle's question is a valid question. Mewo baby, something like the picture I showed you at night, right? Mewo baby, mewo krasa baby. There's no light. There's very little light. If you yourself are afraid, you need to do things legally that will make you less afraid, right? The police. It's not the police officer's responsibility to make you feel like. How can I say this? It's not the police officer's responsibility to make you feel safe on a traffic stop. Yes, we want everybody to be safe, right? But it's not said, I've stopped you. It's not customer service. The job we're doing is not customer service. At the end of the day, no. You want to try and eliminate some of the things that will bring your fears to light. For example, everybody knows there's a light on the front, right? Hey, now I see light. Very good. As a police officer, no. Okay, this guy is okay so far. Does anybody who turns on the light to get a gun to shoot me? Doesn't really make sense, right? Then we continue. Politeness is very simple. Whether you agree with the stop or not, no. That's not the point. The point is you've been stopped. Treat the officer like a normal human being. I know it's hard because there's all of these things and it's dark and you see the red lights. Now pep points and you don't want this, you don't want that, right? At the end of the day, no. It's a normal conversation. Right? Mitimije obi car if you didn't send because they're not supposed to drive. At the end. Why? Because I've treated them with respect. But that's what I've done. At the same time, no, that person was polite with me as well. I'm not going to shake your hand if you've called me a racist and not BBC, right? At the end of the day, no, we have to remember that beyond the uniform, no, we all have emotions. We all get scared, which is fine, right? But at the end of the day, no, if you are afraid, try and make the situation less tense for you, right? Uncle Dan, Bisaya, I thought that you have people that put their hand on the stick. If that's what makes you feel safe, go ahead, do that. It doesn't hurt me. You haven't committed a crime by doing that and being afraid. Does that help? Thank you. Auntie.
Kevin, this is my question. Is that, for example, who are you and I be a sea with you? Madame will be friend, say, none about you, and I BBC. You see, you know. You pay more information. And Tinipa no say the banner will fear. Anna, the vice and a friend say, BBC, what Mamuna, I now what duty no. BBC happy. You pay more information. Intini, every man Pacona Abbey. Because not the next day won't quite Juma, or man chairman answer Majuma, but a cobar say, or more police in no eba in Paconi fee. Ebeji more information. And no son, once our information every one. Almost a piano winning more shade yet. A bear effect to be an bet me how for more information about your free one.
Okay. Now, without explaining the situation, no. It depends. Again, that question depends. At the end, I see, no. Is it criminal? Obi kukun, obi anase, obi akuria diana, whatever, right? Is it criminal to the point that now the person that the police is asking, nipa a suspect, and I say, or a witness, and I say what you say, right? You're not dependent. So we are suspect, right? So let's say we call fingerprint, and I say, if I'm saying clearance for a job, police check. We go a police check. Yeah, it may not. You haven't been charged, so it was not going to show. But say trust say, oh yeah, we were murder witness, your accomplice, for example. Again, these are all extreme examples I'm using. Yeah, it can affect you. At the end of the day, no. When it all depends on what it is you're looking to do in the future. Police, they can see everything, even if I was just a witness, or even if they just asked me a question and I had nothing to do with it, they can see that. And one of the questions is, have you had any police interactions? Right? And that's it. You're disqualified. Right? So it's our question. It depends exactly on what the situation is. But when it doesn't mean say questions. If you haven't done anything wrong, you haven't done anything wrong. It won't affect you.
But number seven who say, Nipa no am say didn't happen here no. Ombusa nipa kwani ba ne say, kono oba ho no so obefa ade o. Into obefa ye no. No all around enti no onim nipa no. Ana umba nipa kwani fi bebusa say nipa kwani say, onipa no obeye sa ade na na. Ono so kase woni no, but o kire say say e ba na e bepe more information fi ne ho no. Enti na nipa kwani ma me no I say o ye worried kaka say bi sa at me happen. And na person me hu say, no say be affect nipa no a more information fi ne ho na na.
Yeah. So what kind of crime and affecting no, right? Wait, so when he can't just make up an answer, right? Say police believe say Aquano for sure when him, but I feel say he's lying. You bet me Bisano say we can have more questions. So one person or bar, that's still Omufi say Aquano where they will transfer. He knows something. You bet me I try be your friend a warrant. Yet to me Edia Betchino Bisano questions.
Another one, wait a minute quick. Se wo adamfo bi anase bia wonu obi eni pakro no e fan say wa wie se okopa adwuma aye right
yeah
na wonu obi am fan say suban bi anya e betima mate say se etimi affect wa no adamfo no e pen mate bi sa so e adwuma sa na fan say wonu obi a wo suban bi a enye ana wo de wo je se woni na efri keke but wo kopa adwuma no ya bo record na hu se bia woni pa esumasi kura adamfo no
yeah. Again, it's our question depending on what job you're applying for. Say police in say, Henry, oh, Henry, or gang mu, what te ho, or tutu, or yen yoma. Na say, media, me a downfall, but media, yes, I na. It can affect me if I want to be a police officer because I know somebody will break the laws. But say, Bibi to say, I don't know, you want to be a teacher, na Bibi sa. The police have nothing to do with that. And when I say wakoji with clearance, the police check says that you're good, that's it. The school doesn't have to know, say, you hang around with Harry. And no, that's their own investigation. In fact, police, it's not a police issue. Very good.
Okay, my question is, say, ID, IRA, now information, it will be also.
Yeah.
Police into me entry, because recently my husband called Walmart with Johnny person, the wallet, sorry.
And that is fine.
Or buy, or buy, no cast a free ato, and no be a far, but now, or correct a can, that's a coin that can win a normal sister.
Yeah.
It's will be a book can, like, I don't know how the person get inside. I know I found a wallet. Until or call first thing or yes or call police station for reporting. Ne ID ira.
Yeah.
Ne ID naira. Omo be stand for an ID. Okay. Now fortunately now me walk some pictures and I'm sending credit card. They want the credit card number. Like into no. In Nigeria, so like there's nothing they can do.
Okay.
I man call bank boom na like my man
yeah.
Mr. Media era the same thing. Meaning Mr. Walmart me jano cat. No be fire. Or be fire. Or fire and that me walk number. As I saw you for be number, I walk person. No fresh so any number say. So me pen me person na me to eska. Yeah, it's not me true. Into my call police station for reporting. And also me call reporting and the police in say. Me call report the police in any says that scan me ID I'm inquire for me forget about it. Until now, sa ni pakrone ti ma friend na mo hu se number we na frɛ no. Munti me trace sa number no. I know say because my husband ni brother ketwa police or can some bit ma trace but police ni ye lazy.
Okay. Police in what brother no what police ni wo Calgary. Okay. Mami kancha mo say we ID you have to report it. Someone reporting us a BB Kusia, they're going to come and ask you questions. Now, it doesn't mean that you're the one that's going to get in trouble. Say, Utimi prove you said, obviously, then they have to continue with the investigation. The problem is that ID theft, is it's very difficult to investigate, right? Where will be Rakanuma, I have to prove that that's the person that went into the car. So what cameras were okay, great. To set example, a boyfriend and girlfriend now will use a credit card in a gas station, right? That helps. So someone need BBR. There's really nothing you can do. But yeah. Okay. In that case, then at the end of the day, no. Again, I can't speak to South Police investigation, no. But also remember that. Sorry, my minister to say at the end of the day, no, say when yet investigation properly, you have the right to ask questions, and I say you have the right to perhaps, if you feel this is the case, file a complaint and say this wasn't investigated properly, right? Now would the WASM I could talk investigative board, and then they'll investigate the situation, and then they go from there, right? In terms of tracing the number, no, let's use another country. Or to Ghana. And so, or the 416 number, right? Does that mean that he's in Canada? No, right? Same thing with the internet. Obi the email address or say a Hotmail. Does that mean that the person lives in a specific area? No. They can be anywhere around the world. And to say no. And yes, you can trace it. The problem is it's difficult, right? So we trace a number, not say, number no cry because what they do is they use other people's phone numbers, right? And then tracing number not hey, you're the one that called, and now you're the one that called. No one can say now me one of my friend me this scam and me D419, right? It's not you, but at the end of the day, no, these people they know how to change all of that information, so it makes it difficult. At the end of the day, no. The person may catch him and say, and it's not to say you did anything wrong or to blame you. The person may catch him and say, don't leave your purse, your wallet, anything that you don't want stolen out of your car. Okay? Because if you lose that, that's it. It's done. Your life is over.
Yeah, well, program I started 5. And also a question.
Very.
More question. Yeah, the ubet me busano or how nyankwe. Nature say where you bet me releasing Crawford.
Mom, from here. Me coffee, you can talk to me.
It's
on the 24/7 lawyer.
What you say, man? Okay.
Me patch on person this I will say.
Mike, that's it.
The police or ebia wo speed na so ochewa no ba be na wudina because police are chimini mi kun na enkula na da na e speed ba obai na obehwe car ni mu na mi kuna hye suit no obo na bet no say next time you have a family don't do that, you dress nice so you have to know what you are doing until no pastor me who say eya mo hwe onya kwa ne dress na so na mama na kwa na say
The quick answer is no. Your dressing doesn't matter. Now, yem say wako dress it to say gangini. That's a little different, right? But it doesn't mean say why dress it nice and I say why dress it poorly. No, me ticket. That's not how it works.
Okay.
Police in Ibia, yes, I know that's called bias. It's a bias, right? Okay. And it's not right. You have to do the job with integrity. And so why you BB not say, you know what? Okay, Matthias, yeah, this is your warning. You're free to go. There's a reason why. If that's the reason why the officer said that, maybe he just felt nice that day.
Okay, and my second question. Pastor me who say, muko training now, you guys out to work because the police, you know, and I say who's the police ba. I say we na monante no the same. I say ma say not more ba.
You'll be more how monante say. You'll be more how so monante.
But I say monante and I say a man in pano I say more banner is slow. Oh, I saw who drive because a police car ba. Na obiara dey.
I slow down.
Uncle a you or not uncle.
Oh, sure, a bit more hard. A bit more hard. Must be it still.
Yeah, but I saw not or drive this or drive this, but you one I say, you start here drive slow. I didn't.
I can't explain why people are doing what they're doing. Man, honestly, me call me baby, right? Wait, my doing something now. And honestly, me call me baby. Me call baby. And I say, "Oh, slow down." And me catch you say, "Slow down." Uncle Gabby, I don't know if there's last question.
Pache, person busa question say, a first for money community no 4 and 4, right?
Yes.
Then 4 busa 4. Police
sure.
Friend.
Okay.
Person busa
sometimes.
Muko training. You should actually must say munko tete wiem baby na mun penko for show man.
Then sorry.
Munko tete wiem baby. Yeah. So
more speed trap. Okay. Yeah.
Why is that you na young con because you watch me. Na much that was said those hunters in Ghana o mutete no one. O much that akwa te wiem. But me who say a part of your training set it for 4.
Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Because I told a na community no a beer.
But your Uncle is talking, please.
A beer brands in Kuranoa. No matter what I can say, this year, you hear this amount of money.
Okay, I knew this question would come. Until we can quota, the BB is a quota. Okay. So quotas are illegal. We're not allowed to do quotas, right? At the end of the day, no. There's no police agency that I know of anyway that says we have to stop 10 cars. We have to hide and stop this many. No. Sa hide and not there. Mean who be that? So what could be what Toronto there? Then you have to ask Toronto police. Sorry. Sorry, Obia Kasamin.
Miss Remo. Someone say Ujina high on hiding.
That's the thing. Somebody said, he's not hiding.
No. When I'm going to work, there's a place.
Okay, my example, please. Night shift. and you guys are probably not gonna like me, but some night shift highway no so me team fin ho na ma do me light, right? Now myself, that's not hiding. You have headlights, right? Are you supposed to speed only when the police aren't there, or are you supposed to obey the speed limit? No, please. Or are you supposed to obey the speed limit? Thank you, all the time. I'm not invisible. You just didn't look properly to see everywhere. I'm there, right? Now, so question now will be sana say obi te ho your friend no give you.
O pack the car no wiram say.
Yeah.
Let me call you one day bia. Enti me hunu enti me dru ha say city bia no me ko 20. You go so she ho. Me dru o so she ho so. O ne kana pack wiram o sa. Ya train mo say sana mo yana.
And yeah, it's not
a hunting.
Okay. Very, very closely. No, I'll explain it quickly. It's not part of training. It's not hunting. Hunting is I'm looking for you specifically. No. At the end of the day, no. Sometimes a lot of it is complaints that people will call and say, there's always cars driving, 70 and a 50, and 90 and a 50, right? So that is all I don't want to say all the time, but the public is there complaining, and the police have to do something. If I'm going to a call, who said cars is speedy some more time and then I want people to see say police so you need to stop speeding, right? 90 and a 50 is very dangerous, right? 70 and a 60 or in a 50 is somewhat dangerous. 60 and a 50, it's not that bad. He's just going is unnecessary to go that fast. Well, I'm not going to say what my rule is, but if you are hard, say it's only a 50 hour. If you're going 60, one now. So we'll call 65 maybe or bet now. And now will cry. You may not give you a ticket. So we'll call 70 and above for sure. You're getting stopped and you're getting it right. And yet training just observation and public. They cry say we want police to stop speeding. And to say no, now you have speed cameras and all these things. And are you going to tell me the speed camera is hunting? No, the speed camera is there to make sure you're not speeding. Yeah, but so am I. I'm in the middle of the highway. I'm not.
For you are visible, but people will bear with me. Say, I put for BT or the Omushi more. Uchemunwa. I don't tell you, Ushim. You know, how many visible near whom?
Uncle Gabi. Uncle Gabi, that's it. May this question Uncle Gabi will say and come in because you're Christopher, you're Dimraso. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, and speed, you need a problem. But I don't know if you mentioned it. Say, crime is animal. Most of the times, we bet me afro so me do fear address. Me may be there fear. And then you don't even know how and no. That is something that we advise people not to do because unim kwa fast wa ubi onim no pa bia no use ubi information atwa dia be sufie. And how is that
So again, a lot of it depends. Say ubia totio na say well mail the ko fear. If the person that says, "Oh yeah, you can mail it to me." At the end of the day, no. Who default, right? It's possession. Possession is knowledge, control, and consent. Knowledge that I accepted a package. I don't know what's in the package, but I accepted it. Okay, fine. Me call Ghana first time, will be my letter. And say, oh, if I wait, come away, my letter. Right? Me call feel Ghana. Mama say, now I be a letter. No, I didn't. What if there was something in there? Right? What if there's cocaine? What if there's anything else in there? I don't know. Right? Because you accepted that package, you are also responsible now. So you can say, oh yeah, this person told me. Okay, great. You're responsible and you're responsible, but that person will probably get more, right? And I don't know if that answers the question, but.
I just said, I'm so young, I'm sure that questions go home. I'm for Busa.
I'm sorry, but I can.
The wife of Freudian name is
I can stay for a few more minutes, but.
Yeah, but we have access to you. Yeah, that's it's been an eye opener. Hopefully, we can have you come back some other time to come and share some more information with us.
I promise, sir, if there's a next time, no, I won't,
No,
won't be as late.
We'll make it happen.
Thank
Remember
you.
Pastor Canada from we are arranging.
Very good.
Thank
you. Again, Madam Onyinama said, thank you for...
Sabri, my friend Penny Gabina, Wabenimuha, na Yina Pijaimu, Wabon Paya Point, Wabo Special Empire, so say Yame, and more Yeniabe may who buy what a Juma or Yene.
From me, Mompire. Midera, it was said, may Wadum Mugo Hunti, or so among midday, the Equaria. And the program, my Yahoo said, assistant, assist here, right, and near my old fancy ye, and near my new fancy ye. It was so dear pa, a became, sir. No, but say, and near my beer, a cost so a pussy for me. And then maybe a so a near peaceful relationship. The bay, my papa. Na young quiet bonnet. Yet was it, would media would ya shedding, sir. Now, oh, yeah, peaceful my so by a beer would die. Let's a full woman I do not your must show. And she had no show, sir. It never seen a show, sir. Jumedia walk on war banner or yin radius row. Born home by Ninti. What put it forward unity in our home by Ninti, what put it forward the department in our home by Ninti, and they are put it for in a so air showing, sir. Empire said, come home, no one boy any years to home bunny. Yes, so a city pa, I'm a woman, I'm a mojumano at my emre. At the any Michel now so air showing, sir. What is your busaya, you refer Musenano, therefore himself, but Professor or Yan, my. Can hold the program at was so a may or so am yet me every year was with him. Sharing again at the park was he park do a showansa. Shirano, own a Jimayim, Nabusia, the Yenema, Wadunti. Amen.